understanding the advisor mindset.
It's a champion, it's a person there to help or a firm there to help support the plan sponsor or the employer do the right thing for their employees.
The importance of strategic partnerships.
Trying to identify ways to develop holistic solutions and not solely focusing on the single product.
And understanding the evolution of the institutional advisor.
We're just getting to a place where I think there's a market that's defining itself.
All this and more on today's episode of The Wave Strength.
Welcome to The Wave Strength. Innovative solutions for a secure retirement. Presented by Pacific Life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wave Strength podcast series. I'm your host, Jim Breen, head of marketing with Pacific Life's institutional team. Joining us today in the studio is Pacific Life's Karen Neeley and DCIIA's Lew Minsky. Lew, Karen, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and joining us in the studio.
Oh, glad to be here.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So Karen, Vice President and Head of the Institutional Retirement Solutions Group, and Lew Minsky, the founder, CEO, and president, and all things to DCIIA, the Defined Contribution Institutional Investment Association. So a very important organization. Thank you, Lew. Thank you, Karen, for taking time to join us. Yeah.
Thrilled to be here.
And, for those familiar with the show, I want to encourage you to head over to YouTube, Spotify, and Audible and search The Wave Strength. You can check out the recent episode we did with Lew, where he does a phenomenal job of unpacking what DCIIA is all about, the great work that DCIIA has currently underway, and how you can connect with DCIIA to become a member of that great organization. So that said, let's jump into today's conversation, where we want to talk about the mindset of that advisor. A lot of the great work Pacific Life has underway, Karen, is very much focused on that. Lew, obviously, all the great work that DCIIA has underway. Karen, perhaps you could maybe lay a little bit of groundwork about your thoughts about that mindset of that advisor.
Sure. So as we've continued to transform and evolve at Pacific Life, one of the things that we recognize is the importance of the advisor and consultant community. And I know this is something that's near and dear to Lew's heart as well. And as part of that, we've actually invested in a national markets function. So as we think through the importance of these DCLI solutions, defined contribution, lifetime income solutions, the importance of the advisor and the consultant and actually connecting plan sponsors to these critical solutions to help employers or plan sponsors bring these to their employees. So we've invested under Chris Stout, who's got 3 decades of leadership in the record-keeping space, within him and his team to really build out our presence and our support, if you will, for advisors and consultants so that we can help them on this journey as it relates to lifetime income.
And Chris is not just a fan of the show, he's been on the show. So yeah, a lot of great work that Chris Stout has done and has currently underway. So Lew, perhaps you can share a little bit about your thoughts as it pertains to the advisor and DCIIA.
Sure. Yeah, and we've sort of been on a journey at DCIIA where, when we started the organization, it'll be 15 years ago in January, the initial focus was very institutional in nature. And as a natural consequence of that, a lot of the conversations we were having, a lot of the focus was with the traditional institutional investment consulting community. And over the years, have gotten much more involved with and connected to the what I'd call the institutionally minded advisor community. So, not the RIAs who maybe are hobbyists in the DC space or might have a plan or two, but the individual advisors in the firms that are very focused on the retirement plan market, and the approach they take to providing advice to plan sponsors is very similar to that of the institutional consulting community. And so, as I've gotten to know that community more and more and engage with them, been really, blown away by the amount of innovation and really great work that's going on in that world. And frankly, a lot of stuff that the advisors are doing that, the folks in the institutional community could learn from. So, been really excited to spend more and more time with them.
Perhaps, Karen, you can share a little bit about your thoughts on, your time in the industry and maybe some of these shifts you've seen in that advisor mindset from the moment you kind of began in the industry to where we are today.
Sure. So I've been in this space for about 2 decades, really grew up on the record keeping side of the business. So in the record keeping side, particularly on smaller plans, the advisor is king, right? And as you go larger market, the consultant firms, it starts to become, the word transitions from advisor to consultant, but it's the same thing. It's a champion, it's a person there to help, or a firm there to help support the plan sponsor or the employer do the right thing for their employees. Now, as income has evolved over these past 2 decades, it's critically important that we have these partners, that we have these champions in the advisor and the consultant community helping to guide plans to this. And we're seeing, research is showing, and there's a lot of research that's being done through DCIIA and through partnering firms to show the importance of these solutions from a plan sponsor and an employer lens. There's an increased recognition that, as we think through the retirement crisis, decumulation is going to be a key piece that we need to solve for. So the importance of educating this community of advisors and consultants, of leaning into them as a key partner and helping, because they are going to be the ones that help plan sponsors really get through this inertia in order to bring these critical solutions to their employees.
You talked about something that I'd love to dive a little deeper on, education. Lew, we were with each other earlier today discussing with Chris Stout and Chris McGlynn over lunch your thoughts about the advisor. And you brought up something that Karen touched on here, which was that education component, that ability, I think as you said it, the ability for us as an industry to really bring folks into a conversation, to communicate in a way that we really haven't been doing well on with this industry, right?
Yeah.
Where we often front load the product information, for example, or we just expect that everybody else understands what we're trying to talk about. Maybe share your thoughts about that education, that ability to bring people into the conversation.
Yeah. So I'd say what I see often reflexively in this industry is a focus first and foremost on product, right? Here's my product, and then an effort to talk at people to sell that product instead of starting by having a dialogue with them, find out what the problems are that they're trying to solve, and then work with them on developing solutions that ultimately connect to products. But I think if we start more often with building a framework around why we're having the conversation and what it is we're trying to solve, then we'll get a lot further. And I think particularly with that advisor community, I mean they're very sophisticated. They're critically important, and to Karen's point, I'd say in some ways more important as intermediaries than their consulting brethren, because the plan sponsors they serve don't have the same bandwidth, don't have necessarily the same resources and expertise that major employers have. So that they play this critically important role in educating their plan sponsor clients and getting them comfortable with innovation and potential solutions. So I think the more that we can bring them in as partners in a solutions-based conversation instead of view them as marketing targets, I think just better for everyone.
I think to that point, and excellent points, as you think through the conversion of the conversation from products to solutions, the complexity of income is that it's not one size fits all. The benefit of income is that it's not one size fits all. So as we're trying to personalize these solutions and really bring the conversation to plan sponsors, we need the education through those key partners, because what's good for plan ABC might not be the same thing that's good for plan DEF. And it may not be the same thing at time 0 for Plan ABC as it is 3 years from now or 5 years from now. Like, these solutions are powerful tools. We're working together and understanding the underlying demographics of the plan, understanding the overall desire of the plan. We can truly bring what you mentioned in a previous podcast, the DBization to DC in a really meaningful way, but more importantly, in a personalized way that's going to be impactful for that plan and impactful for that plan's employees.
Yeah, and by the way, maybe even, more nimble, more personalized than you could in a traditional DB plan. So, it's great to think about the DBization of DC, but maybe there's an opportunity to go beyond where we've been historically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know we're discussing the advisor mindset, but like thinking about that participant, right? We're talking about journey. We're talking about that personalization process. We sometimes forget, especially as we talked about in the beginning of this episode, product. Well, here's the product. And, several of us all were in a room talking about this product and we feel it's the best product of all the products and you need to know this product. But we forget, right, to think about how that particular product will fit into a solution that is going to meet that individual where they are at that unique stage of their life. Because as even the three of us sitting here on this set, each of us are in different stages. Lew, you and I, we were talking about, you have 2 daughters, 2 of my daughters are similar age distance to yours, but different stages of their lives. And I'm looking at you for wisdom on how I could walk through some of the challenges I'm experiencing, right, with the stage of where my daughters are.
We're going to need another show for that.
Yeah,
that's
going to
be an entire other.
Yeah, not to mention my boys, with all 5 kids. It's like, oh my goodness. But the fact that each of us, Karen, you as well, with everything that we've talked about, your kids, all these things, at different stages of our lives, which is beautiful, right? That's what makes us unique. That's what gives each of us this opportunity to have this very unique spirit and bring these unique thoughts to the table. But we can't lose sight of the fact that everybody's on a different path.
Yeah. Well, it's part of what really impresses me about the approach that you're taking to the market. Bringing potential strategic partners together in a spirit of coopetition, trying to identify ways to develop holistic solutions and not solely focusing on the single product. Because just having been at this for a little while now, it's plan sponsors and ultimately their participants, they need help here, and they're ultimately going to need to feel comfortable that the water's warm, and they're not going to be held to the standard of having to pick the single perfect solution, because we know there is no single perfect solution. At the end of the day, there are going to be a range of solutions, as you mentioned, that make sense, and that range will probably vary plan to plan, individual to individual. But I think it's great that you're bringing people together to try to identify what that solution set looks like, and the kinds of platforms and processes that are going to be necessary to develop that that partnership and the coopetition.
In the advisor community and consultant community, they're so critical to what we're doing in our path forward. So as you think through the necessity for these solutions to be personalized, the importance of that, the fact that it's not a one-size-fits-all product on a shelf, but it's truly what's the solution that makes the plan better and makes the employees better, and what's in it for the advisor. A lot of the conversations that we're having in market with our advisor partners and consultant partners is it actually differentiates them. So in the sea of sameness that we're experiencing, that provides them the ability to go talk to plans who are interested in these solutions, to have different conversations, to think of income less of this opaque thing that we're all leaning towards and we know we need from a decumulation perspective, but to truly talk about the personalization and the elements. And as you mentioned, even being able to personalize even beyond what's possible today, but to have those conversations and differentiate their own advisor practice. So that's one of the things is we're partnering with the advisor and consultant community through our national markets team, really working to help build up that education, to build up that literacy so that the advisors and consultants can distinguish themselves among that sea of sameness in their conversations with plans.
Yeah, and I think as those advisors start to, figure this out, they're going to realize that there are ways for them to help their clients to develop, institutionally implemented income solutions through their plan, but also to connect that to their ongoing both retirement plan and wealth management practices in a way that's win-win-win. And at the end of the day, when we can find solutions where everybody wins, then that's a pretty good place to be.
Completely agree. And I think as in-plan income adoption continues to increase, and we're all working together to make that number increase more and more across the industry. But to your point, that's going to naturally have that same impact on the individual market, because that education doesn't just stop at the institutional level, that then conveys into the individual level as well. So completely agree on the win-win there.
Yeah. And, the personalization, such an important part of that conversation. Pacific Life has such strong feelings and sees the value, right, in these strategic partnerships, which is, just seen as a testament to your team, Karen, and a lot of the great work recently, with the Franklin Templeton and Pacific Life and others on deck. And, as we wrap up this episode here, what I'd love to be able to do is get a little creative here and ask each of you, right, maybe what you see as a defining moment as we look into the future from the mindset of that advisor. What do you see as that important next step? And maybe it is something that you could, as I've mentioned in other episodes, wave a magic wand to change, to alter. But let's talk about that next step. And Lew, I'll pass it to you first. What do you see as that maybe potential defining moment as we look into the future in the mindset of the advisor?
Yeah. So maybe I'll answer in two ways. I mean, one, I think we're just getting to a place where I think there's a market that's defining itself for, what I, at least colloquially refer to as the institutionally minded advisor, like the real expert. So one is, I'd love to see that market further define itself. Because I think, it's a great opportunity for the advisors that live in that space to differentiate themselves and to continue to build their practices. And then, I think, as they are able to do that, moving away from the product conversation to a holistic conversation around solutions really presents a great opportunity for all of us. As we further, institutionalize in the, small I sense the retirement saving system. We move to a system that's as inclusive as it can and should be. That where the default is success and not failure. And I think the advisors are going to play a critical role in us getting there, particularly for, smaller to mid-sized employers.
Very helpful. Thank you, Lew. Karen, what do you see as you look into the future?
Yeah, completely agree with everything Lew said. And then I would add QDIA. So default solutions for decumulation. We've seen over the past 20 years what default solutions help with the autos and auto accumulation, auto escalation, and the importance and the movement that had on just the overall DC industry. We need to have that same level of regulatory support, if you will, on the decumulation side of the curve. And I think as more of us band together with that magic wand and really try to push the importance of that across the industry, that's going to be the real gate opener, if you will, where the floodgates open and you truly see the adoption of income that we're all sitting in this room trying to drive forward for.
Fantastic. Well, great answers. And what a great opportunity to spend time with both of you to learn more about the advisor mindset, Karen, as it pertains to that Pacific Life perspective, and Lew from that DCIIA perspective. Lew, a lot of great work that DCIIA has underway. How can folks connect with DCIIA and learn more about the great work that you have on deck?
First step is always going to the website, DCIIA.org. Check it out. And, if you're interested in learning more, you can always reach out to me directly or click on the Contact Us link on the website, and we'll be happy to bring you into the community.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for the great collaboration, Lew, with you, DCIIA, PEG, the whole team. We really appreciate that. Karen, always a pleasure having you on the show as well. And to our audience, I want to thank you for spending time with us today on The Wave Strength. And I want to encourage you to head over to YouTube, Spotify, and Audible. Hit like and subscribe so that you can stay current with new content as it becomes available. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time, everyone.
This has been another episode of The Wave Strength, presented by Pacific Life. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Although this podcast is presented by Pacific Life, the opinions and views expressed are those of the hosts and participants and do not necessarily reflect Pacific Life's views on any of the topics discussed. Unless otherwise noted, Pacific Life is unaffiliated with any other individual or company mentioned. Pacific Life is a product provider. It is not a fiduciary and therefore does not give advice or make recommendations regarding insurance or investment products. Pacific Life, its affiliates, its distributors, and respective representatives do not provide any employer-sponsored qualified plan administrative services or impartial advice about investments and do not act in a fiduciary capacity for any plan. Pacific Life refers to Pacific Life Insurance Company and its subsidiary, Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Insurance products can be issued in all states except New York by Pacific Life Insurance Company and in all states by Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Product availability and features may vary by state. Each insurance company is solely responsible for the financial obligations accruing under the products it issues. This podcast was recorded on September 25th, 2024.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation below and leave a comment on your thoughts on what the industry can do better for participants as it pertains to lifetime income solutions. And if you'd like more interesting content, click one of these links over here.